Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. Today, we're going to be talking about the new star system. We're going to be talking about the 9 steps. We're going to be talking about some of the confusion that players are having, and we're going to show you the direct value of why the star system is so much better than what we previously had, and why the new 9 step is not as bad as people might feel like it is. Let's go ahead and dig in. So a lot of you guys might have seen me post Ashamon's Reddit thread here just a couple days ago. This is something that I was working on independently, and literally during a stream that Ashamon actually came on, we realized that he had developed a spreadsheet that was literally exactly like my spreadsheet that I was trying to figure out kind of the value of the star system and whether or not it was better or whether it was worse. And together, or more like with me leaning in and getting his help on some specific mathematical things, we kind of put together, or he kind of put together, and I kind of interpreted where it's going and what it's looking like. So if you haven't seen his Reddit thread, if you haven't seen his spreadsheet, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. And it is going to be, I am going to show it here towards the end. I'm going to show a fraction of it. It is, of course, linked in my YouTube section as well. But let's go ahead and talk about what people are confused on. Probably what people are most confused on is that they are only looking at the cost, right, of a 9-step or the 9-step as a whole. They're not really looking at the 9-step as part of the cost of pulling, and they're looking at the 9-step as a way to mitigate the cost of maxing a unit, right? So people are not looking, when you're thinking about the cost of a unit, right, they aren't necessarily factoring in the price to pull the unit. They are factoring in the price to max the unit, because it's a lot easier to see when you have a discount, right? So like when you are getting 200 shards from a 9-step, it's a lot easier to see, oh, that's a 10k Visior value that I'm saving, than it is to say, oh, there's some mitigation to my pull or to my pity, or there's some type of change to the pity system, right? And it's a lot easier to see the direct benefits of the 9-step when it's a 200 shard gift as opposed to a 900x type token towards a pity. People are not realizing kind of the value of pulls as a whole have gone up due to the star system. So I have kind of an example down here, but an average guaranteed MR pull is going to be 27 stars. Now keep in mind, there are a lot more MR guaranteed pulls on the 9-step banners. That's going to be a 1,350 Visior value if you are just buying at the base tier, right? And that's going to be if you buy 20 shards at 50, and then, you know, you buy another 20 shards at 50 Visior. That is a lot of Visior value per pull that you are pulling, right? It is effectively having the price of what you are spending to pull in many ways, or it's essentially having, or think of the right way raising this, it's giving you a 50% bonus in value to each pull that you do. People are not really realizing that the system is meant to mitigate your potential shortcomings as well, right? So if you are, you know, if you are someone who you're like, I've never had to pity, right? Well, maybe one day you will have to. People are not realizing the system is making it easier to acquire 100 cost units as well. People are not factoring in the change to the 9-step gives us more guaranteed MR units, which is why I kind of showcase the average amount of tokens you can get from an MR pull. Now, if you don't know the star Visior value, right, I do have it broken down here. So you have tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would probably only pull until tier 5, but even if you're looking at tier 5 and you're looking at an average guaranteed MR pull is 27 stars, that would be 270 Visior, which is still a pretty hefty kind of bonus to whenever you do a pull, right? It's effectively cutting pulls in 1/8 of their actual cost is a good way of looking at it. Now, taking a look at the old versus the new 9-step, basically the old pity used to cap at 40,000 Visior, and what would happen is people would do the 9-step up, get 200 shards, that would of course be 14k Visior, so they would have to do the 14k Visior on top of pulling the 40k Visior in order to kind of hit pity, right? With the new 9-step, with getting 900 tokens, no matter what, the max amount of Visior you are going to be spending on pulling is going to be 36,000 Visior, right? So no matter what, you're going to be spending 36,000 Visior to pull a unit. It doesn't matter if it's a double cost unit. It doesn't matter if it's a single cost unit. That is the maximum amount of Visior that you are going to be spending. Now, quite separately, the cost to maximize a unit is static at about 50,000 Visior. That is, of course, unless it is a double cost unit, with some things kind of fitting in here. I am kind of accumulating that mind spheres are the same cost as shards, which is not necessarily true, but you guys understand where I'm coming from here. So the old 9-step guaranteed that you would get minus 10,000 Visior towards the cost of maximizing a unit. So the new 9-step guarantees, with the stars that it'll give you on average, minus 3,750 Visior in cost. Again, this is flexible, and this is only assuming that the stars are invested on a single unit. If you spread this out over multiple units, you're going to have a value that essentially is through the roof. This could be, you know, the stars alone could be over, you know, a 10,000 Visior value, right? So depending on how you distribute the stars alone, you're going to have potentially a better value than the old 9-step in the first place. Now, I think that's not really a realistic scenario, so we are looking at this in terms of investing the stars into a single unit. The new 9-step also gives 900 shards, right, or 900 X-type metals, which can be used towards pity or also exchanged for unit shards. The amount of shards you can get would be about 4,500 Visior worth. So the new 9-step, assuming that you're dumping everything into a single unit's metals costs, would give about 8,250 Visior discount. So if you're looking at just the 9-step and just the shards, you are looking at players spending on average plus 1,750 more Visior compared to before in terms of value, right? But the fact that we are given those 900 coins now is almost like we are paying for a pity discount guarantee. It's almost like a, you know, Gumi coming in telling us, hey, would you like your 9-step to cost this much more Visior if we can guarantee a discount on your pity in the future? And I would say that's pretty good. And I think a lot of people have been in that position where they do want to pity a unit, or they have to pity a unit, right? So if you are, say, for example, free to play and you've been saving up and, you know, this is, you know, Cloud and you want to make sure you get Cloud, you're guaranteed to get Cloud no matter what for 36k Visior. You might not be able to max him, but you are guaranteed to get him. So some other interesting information here to consider is what percent of players need the pity guarantee. And this has actually changed. So previously, only 9.7% had to go all the way to pity. So that was back when we had that 54,000k pity if you're doing the 9-step and then you're pulling directly. Now you are going to be going to pity more often, right? So you're going to be doing, on a normal cost unit, about 20% of players will have to go to pity. And then on a double cost unit, about 45% of players will have to go to pity. So overall, taking a look at this and understanding this, you are going to have to do probably a little bit less pulling than you had to do before, but you're going to have to look and think a lot more about your pity. Another thing that I think is really interesting as well is that the 6k paid step up banners do offer pity tokens as well. And I'm wondering, that hasn't always been a trend in the past. And so I'm really hoping that it maintains consistency here, because then if you're like a paying player, if you're a whale, you have a potential to, you know, invest your paid Visior to have a better chance at pulling a unit, to maybe not have to go all the way to pity, right? And even if you do have to go all the way to pity, it's still helping you. And that was the case yesterday when I was chasing Bikini Lilith. Finally, we do also have to talk about star shards just a little bit more and their value, because I think it's really important for you to understand what the value of star shards are. And especially when we're talking about double cost units, you know, a lot of people don't realize that the exchange rate for double cost units and regular cost units with star shards is exactly the same. So for, you know, all of the calculations that I did previously, where I was saying, you know, the new 9-step is going to give you about 3,750 in terms of Visior shards. That is not counting if you're spending it on double cost units. That is not counting if you're investing in double cost VC, right? It's not counting a whole bunch of things. So there is many situations where doing the 9-step just for the shards or doing the 9-step just for the stars is going to put you substantially ahead. Another thing that is not talked about, and I have not done the math on in this entire video, is the fact that if you are pulling to pity, you are going to be getting star shards from that as well. And assuming, you know, you're doing more pulls on the pity, because you would have to do 11 pulls after the 9-step, the value of star shards that you're going to be getting is better than the 9-step. So you would be looking at saving another 4,000 to 5,000 Visior in terms of shard cost if you are pulling all the way to that 36k pity. So there is a lot of interesting things to look at here, lots of things to think about. Overall, it's important to note that this new system is better. It doesn't feel better, but it absolutely is better. And it does work for all types of players. I see a lot of people saying, oh, this is more free to play friendly. Doesn't matter if you're free to play. Doesn't matter if you're a whale. Doesn't matter if you're a dolphin. This system is objectively better in all regards right now. So when I said I was withholding my judgment on the star system, I think I finally have a solid answer now. I do think this is an amazing system. I think everybody should be excited for this and happy for this, and I think you should all be super stoked. For all of you who want to kind of look at the spreadsheet more and in more detail, I will post Ashamon's Reddit link down below in my description. If you guys do want to support me, you can use my affiliate link at dig.gs/coins, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.